All right, it says we're live. So, welcome. Live from the crossroads of America. A 1 hour talk show about, well, it's not about, it's shooting with disabilities. But we do change the topics to guns, politics, or anything else that crosses my mind. Answer questions from the audience. Just put them in the chat. And we're just put them in the chat. Sorry, I didn't see anybody in the chat, and I was thinking, oh no, my chat room hasn't screwed up like it did the other week. But they're all coming in now. So email me at rickslifeasiseeit@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. The audio file on this show will be on Podbean, iTunes, and Stitchers within 24 hours of the show ending. Every other episode is already on there if anybody wants to listen just to the audio file of every show I've done. So, also, I have a Patreon page if anybody's interested. And that's about it. Let me see what I got in the room so far. First in doing double duty is the Kingpin. Then we got the Gun Snob, John Z, Jason Stewart, Raphael. So far in the room. See who else is coming. Hey, John Z, I'm sure you got a invite. Or are you working again? So, anyway, let me introduce my panel. Up here on my left-hand corner is Squibload. How you doing?
Hey, Rick. Working hard tonight to support guys like you.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Then in the top middle is the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Patriot in the Dark.
I'm just spending all of Squib's money. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem. Then we got the one and only Kingpin.
Always a pleasure, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Okay, then the first guy from New York on the bottom line here is Blind Shooter. How you doing? Hit the mute button and say hi.
Say hi.
Okay. Then the other one from New York is New York Outcast. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Just real quick, who else is Southpaw RX has joined the chat. Sabrina's here. Midnight Range is here. So we're getting more people in at last. All right, tonight's topic to start off with. It's more like, I don't know. I don't have any, I don't know a lot about it, so it's more of a suggestion out there. Tools for disabled people, i.e., say you got a hand you can't use, or you only got one arm, or something like that. I mean, so if you only got one arm, how do you clean your handgun? I mean, have you invented some sort of clamp or something to hold it in place while you clean it with the one arm you have, the one hand you have? That kind of stuff. Anybody out there in the chat got any ideas or in that situation or know somebody in that situation? Let's see if we can get a topic going on this. You know, right now, everybody in the chat's just saying hi to everybody. So you got any ideas? Let's start with Patriot since he brought it up. I'll get you to get the chat rolling there, Patriot.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I brought it up because I was working on that Stevens shotgun. There's a little project I'm doing, and the barrel was cut off, and it was a real hack job years ago or whatever. And I'm just wanted to square it up or true it up. My local gunsmith that is at one of the gun shops said, "Yeah, I'd bring it in, $60 to $80 just to do that," which is ridiculous. So, of course, I want to do it myself, and so I kind of had to rig up some things because I don't have any much mechanical stuff as far as V blocks or anything like that I could use. And it's for a 20 gauge, which is kind of an odd size for the outside diameter or whatever. So anyways, I was thinking about how what to use. If you look it up, any videos on how to true it up or whatever, it's a bunch of other tools that obviously I don't have. So that's what I was thinking about. So I ended up, obviously I like doing stuff out of wood, and so I used some blocks and mapped it out and got some other things, and It's actually square now, so but it wasn't easy as just throwing a file on it and kind of eyeballing it and getting it square. So, but yeah, that's what brought this up. So taking apart firearms or whatever, I mean, some have spring pressure and stuff, and if you have a hand that's weak or whatever, you have issues with you've got mail, racking your slide or whatever, that there's obviously some things that maybe somebody's thought of or can think of to help for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, personally myself, I would have taken a sort of like an electric sander, held it up and braced it on something, then just put the barrels towards it until they evened up. Wouldn't that work?
Yeah, no, it's close enough where it was at like 18 3/4 inch, so I didn't want to. I couldn't go and put a fresh cut on there. I mean, I had enough room, to.
Well, isn't the shortest it can be is 18?
You can get them 18 and a half, I think, because it just depends on who's measuring or whatever.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, for it to be still lit, for it not fast as a sawing off, it has to be 18 inches minimum, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But most of them that you buy say that they're 18 and a half.
Yeah.
So I just, and this is just a break action. So I measured from the edge of the chamber to it. And so I don't know exactly where the measurement is, if it is the face of the chamber or whatever. So that's, I just wanted to square it up from where, the lowest point was. So
yeah, I can understand that. All right. On the gun cleaning thing, Jason Stewart says, what about a sonic cleaner? If you only sort of like got one, you can only use one hand, or you only got one arm or whatever. I guess drop all the parts and stuff in a sonic cleaner. Would that work? I thought sonic cleaners used were water based or fluid based. Wouldn't that damage them?
I think people use those. I don't know much about it.
Yeah. I know they do. I remember having a back in the day when I used to ride my motorcycles. I had because I used to have a Honda Goldwing, and it had 4 carburetors. And I mean, working on one, I might be able to fiddle through, but trying to work on 4 and get them all synced and everything else was beyond me. So I managed to take, I figured how to take the carburetors off, and I took them down to a mechanic, and he actually stuck them in a sonic cleaner to clean them all up. They look like brand new when they came out. But I wish he hadn't have done that, because when they come back out, they were leaking everywhere. I had all new seals and all kinds of stuff put in them. But that's a different subject altogether.
That's like a jewelry cleaner or something? I've seen some of those, but
I'm
sure it's vibration.
It's the same thing, isn't it? Yeah. So I haven't seen a sonic cleaner being used on gun parts, though.
No, that's just like Glock Tupperware you can put in the dishwasher, right?
I don't know. It's not getting there's not much activity in the chat on that topic, unfortunately.
A lot of sterile supply departments and hospitals use sonic cleaners to clean out fine cannulas, like small little holes that are intricate and stuff like that you can't get brushes inside or whatever.
Okay. So they would work on gun parts.
I would imagine so. In hospitals, they have different types of chlorine, not chlorines, but additives that they add to the cleaning agents. So you'd have to make sure you put a proper cleaning agent on there that wouldn't destroy your gun.
Yeah. Okay. Two Live Moves says we use sonic cleaners and steam cleaners at the jewelry store. And Jason Stewart says simple green and water won't hurt your guns in a sonic cleaner.
Bingo. There you go.
How do they work with what? Just vibration?
Basically.
It does exactly that. It sends sonic waves through the machine, which just moves the water and the chemical agents through all the different parts.
Yeah, yeah,
Find little cracks and crevices and stuff.
yeah. So all you would have to worry about if you clean them that way is making sure they're dry good so they don't rust once
Well,
you
yeah,
pull them out.
sure. That's where you'd have to pick in your cleaner. You'd have to pick
Yeah.
something that's going to air dry in a reasonable amount of time.
Yes.
A droplet of water can sit in a remote crevice of a gun for days before it evaporates.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I don't know. I mean, luckily I have two hands, so I don't have to worry about that right now. But when I clean and I practically almost soak my guns in ballastol when I clean them. I mean, you pick up a part and it's sort of like dripping because I actually cover them.
That's the other thing is if it is physically where you can't take it apart or something. I mean that's your local gun shop, as long as you're there friendly and whatever. I'm sure that you might be able to talk with somebody there to say, hey, at least can you take this apart so I can get it cleaned, or they can clean it. I mean, if you're rich like Squib, you just go and drop it off somewhere and pay somebody to clean it for you.
What I thought about,
Yeah, Jay's Sporting Goods up north has a cleaning fee if you are so inclined.
Yeah. I figured that there was places like that, but I'm sure if you got a local gun shop that you go to a lot or whatever, I'm sure if you discuss that with them, they could always, I mean, some people like me that we like to take them apart and clean them.
Oh, Jason Stewart says blow off the water with air once you pull them out. Ohio 45 says on aluminum aircraft you have to use an aluminum safe simple green formula. Should probably do the same for an alloy gun frame. I would imagine it would too.
Yeah, Simple Green has an aircraft cleaner, and you want to dilute it a lot. Do not use it concentrated. You would think the more Simple Green you have in there, the better it works, but it actually requires a lot of water to work effectively.
All right. Okay. Yeah, so
definitely want to test it.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So that's a thought. I mean, I don't need one right now, sonic cleaner, but it's something to think about. But I like cleaning guns, personally myself. I really do. I find it therapeutic, like I do with reloading. And I was thinking, well, people who don't like, I've heard people who hate cleaning guns. So I thought, well, I'll do them for a price, But then again, I would have to have an FFL to be able to do it,
No, you just can't get caught.
No, you wouldn't have to have an FFL as long as, like in the state of Maryland, you have to have a purchase license. You have to be allowed to buy guns, handguns. So I could just come over to your house and drop my guns off to you, and then let you clean them, and then come back and get them later. Only if you're shipping stuff back and forth, or you have specific state regulations involved. But I can't imagine that, aside from maybe New York and California, there's more heavy restrictions on that than Maryland.
I was actually told in Michigan that if you wanted, like, I have a friend that I had a CZ70 that the barrel was bulged, and to get it pressed out and stuff, a buddy of mine does all that work, but he couldn't take it with him because at the time I didn't have a CPL. So I don't know if that just goes with pistols, if that you can't actually loan it, because if he takes it from you or whatever without you taking it and dropping it off, I don't know if there's a big difference. But at the time, I was told if you both didn't have CPLs or your concealed carry licenses, that you couldn't basically let somebody else take it. I don't know.
That's basically the way it works here. Like, even at my range, if I'm on the pistol side, if I'm on the rifle side of my range, and my friend who does not have a Maryland license, not a concealed carry, just a purchase license, he can't go over, 30 yards away without me with my handgun. He can take my rifle and do whatever he wants.
Okay.
But if he doesn't have that license, then he can't be unsupervised with my firearm.
I think it has something to do with the gunsmith or the gun shop being an FFL. If an FFL takes possession of your gun for whatever reason, when you go to get it back from them, you have to fill out a 4473. You say, yeah, but I just dropped it off to be fixed. It doesn't matter. If they have a certain FFL, it's got to go in their bound book and out of their bound book because it's on their inventory. See, but I never sold it to them. I understand that, but they took possession. Now, owner to owner, that may be different, but it's, for example, when I had my wasser repaired, I got a hold of Century. I went to my FFL and I said, hey, this new wasser's busted. And they said, we don't handle this. You've got to contact Century. And I contacted Century and they sent me a return shipping label and I shipped it to them. And I asked my FFL, I said, would you guys mind receiving the gun when it comes back from the armor at Century Firearms or Century Arms, because I don't want it just sitting on my front porch. And they said, yes, but you realize you've got to fill out a 4473 because it come into our shop, even though it's yours, you're not buying it. It goes on our bound book and it's got to come off our bound book because we're legally in possession of it. It's not going to cost you anything, but we're willing to do that because you're trying to be responsible and make sure your firearm's secure. But understand, you have to, and I said, so what? I got to fill out a 4473. And they said, well, most people don't want to do that. And I said, well, those people are probably criminals, you know?
I sent a SIG pistol in because the safety came out and whatever, but I actually sent it to them. I just dropped it off at FedEx, I think it was, and they FedExed it back to me, but I actually had to sign for it. They won't just leave it on your doorstep. You have to physically sign for it, and you have to prove obviously who it's going to.
And if FedEx or UPS is going to show up in the middle of the day when most people are at work, so that's an option if your gun shop is not a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, I want to go off top. Well, not off topic. This is a pretty good topic, actually. I'm sorry to hear this, but Ohio 45 ACP said, I'm learning to shoot left-handed. I lost the end of my trigger finger this week in an accident with a saw. Wow, I'm sorry to hear that. I lost the top of my left thumb years ago, the very, very tip of it. It's hidden underneath my thumbnail, so you can't see that there's a dip in it where I hit the blade of a bandsaw when I was cutting frozen lamb. But anyway, he's learning to shoot left-handed. I mean, that's what I had to do when I damaged my left hand. I had to learn to shoot right-handed. It feels damn awkward at first, but keep persevering. You will get the hang of it. You know. Also, you might once your hand is healed, even though you've lost the tip of it, you might be able to, go further down on the finger and shoot with it on your right hand. But he did say if it doesn't work, he might have some slightly used guns for sale.
Yeah, my grandfather lost. He was left-handed, and on his left hand, he lost his. I want to say it was to the second knuckle on his trigger finger, and he ended up using his middle finger, I believe. But he shot bow as well, and he had modified all sorts of things. He was a very creative guy. So I mean, that's another option. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have to keep us informed.
Yeah. So you have to let us know how you get on with that and what you decide to do. Mind you, it's always good to learn to shoot with your offhand anyway, because you never know. You might get shot in your strong arm and have to defend yourself with your weak hand. So it's always best to
even without that happening, all has to be in an accident. Then what do you do for after that?
True.
I mean, if you practice with it, that's something that you should
like
practice.
I said before, I've learned to shoot with my right hand. I can hold a gun in my left hand, and I can shoot it, but I can't hold it. I don't have a very strong grip on it, So, but I mean, I could, in an emergency, I could pull the trigger, So Oh, Ohio said he will try using I will try using my middle finger once this all heals. Okay, that's worth a try. Worth a try.
Especially with like a rifle and stuff that might be, I don't know.
Yeah.
I seem to remember that he did that. I mean, he had a bow that he ended up at the grip of the bow. He ended up building up because I don't know if he just had short arms or not. He was a commercial fisherman, so he was always building. And
back to your other topic, Travis T said, I sent a Smith & Wesson to the manufacturer for repair via FedEx, and they shipped it right back to me. But as Patreon said, I had to show ID and sign for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on, I guess, like your local laws. I mean, I don't know what it's like for Outcast, but here in New York City, I can ship a rifle or a shotgun to the manufacturer for repair, and they can ship it back to me through FedEx, no questions asked. But now, if I want to send out a handgun, I have to bring it to the range. They have to put it in their books, ship it out for me. I have to notify NYPD that I no longer have it. And then once I get it back, do what Squib said, fill out the 4473, and then call NYPD again, let them know that I have the gun.
Wow.
That's good old New York for you. Good New York. That's New York City, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if Outcast has the same issues.
Yeah, it's not as bad upstate. So like a long gun can ship out. I can mail out myself and have sent back. The handguns would be a different issue. I don't. I can. It has to run through an FFL basically. So you pretty much have to take it to a store. I believe I can mail it out from my post office as long as there's obviously no ammunition with it, and that can go to the factory or manufacturer. But coming back, it's got to stop at an FFL for me to pick it up.
Okay. Now I'm trying to remember. Yes, I did. I bought a my P64 using my CNR license, and it was shipped straight to my house.
Yeah, that's because you're FFL for that.
Yeah, I had to sign for it though. They wouldn't give it to me till I signed for it. Why? I don't know.
And just in case there's anybody that isn't a good person that's watching, this is not buying a brand new something sent to you.
Yeah,
it's already yours.
Yeah, I think that's where some of the confusion comes from, because, right? I don't know if the driver knew what it was when he delivered it, because it came in a brown box, right? But he had to know it was something to make me sign for it. Maybe that's where you hear the politicians say, buying guns off the internet straight to your house. Because with a CNR license, certain age guns you can do that with. So I don't know. I just threw that out there. Maybe Honda could use that one day in his gay frog chat. I don't know.
The barcodes on the box, when they hit it with that little calculator that they carry around, the barcode on the box will tell the calculator if it needs to be signed for or not.
Okay, so
that way, like you see the Depends commercials and all that other kind of stuff where we discreetly ship to your house. Like, I doubt that they're going to put AR-15 all over the outside of a box and then ship it through the.
Yeah, well, as I was saying, the box my P54 came in, which is the brown plain box with just a shipping label on it.
But see, just ship it to an FFL,
reason.
So it's
there's still notes in it.
Security reason.
Yeah. But I guess sign for it. What I'm saying is I remember the guy gave me a funny look. So he might have known what it was. I don't know. That's what ask.
A friend of mine used to work for the post office, and he would tell me all the time that whenever you receive a package, before they deliver it, it goes through like this giant x-ray machine so they can see what's inside the box, which is why a lot of packages conveniently never get delivered.
Next time you see 38 Super Partisan, ask him. That's what he does for a living, is the delivery stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Two Gun Kitty said he shipped his AR pistol to Freedom Ordnance for warranty work, and it was shipped back to him. He said luckily he had the day off when it came back to sign for it. Yeah, that can be damn annoying if you miss them. You know.
And some of those sites, I think you can set up like time blocks that say, hey, if you have packages for me or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
You might have to be one of those preferred guys or something. But.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've done it before where it wasn't a firearm, but per se, I mean, I know I was having something sent that needed a signature. I can't remember what in the hell it was now, but I put on my I put a sign on my mailbox saying ring, because I lived at, there was a bunch of apartments inside this house. So I told them to ring my neighbor's door, and she signed for it for me. Because all I wanted was a signature. It didn't have to be mine. So there we go. So any other topics we want to talk about on that subject? We gone way halfway through the show, so we're doing pretty good. So let me move on then to politics per se. Okay, I was telling the guys before the show started that there was an article I was reading today about Indiana. Crawford County, which is the county line's about 4 miles from where I live now. I live in Du Bois County. Crawford County is about 4 miles away. That's where my father lived. He came from Crawford County. There, Saturday afternoon at 4:30, they're holding a meeting to go to a sanctuary county, which I thought was great. And I was reading further on the article. The lady who's organizing it, and she's actually from Crawford County, but she also said that they have sent information to all 92 counties here in Indiana, for give them the information on how to do it if they want to do it and all this kind of stuff, which I thought was pretty cool. I'm going to check with the local gun people here of Du Bois County, see if anybody's going to do anything about it. But where I was going with this, then later on in the day, I went on to the Indiana Gun Owners Forum, and somebody happened to be talking about it in there. I'm not a member of this. I just happen to go, occasionally I'll go on there and read some of the stuff. But somebody told me this, so I was following the thread of it, and there was some guy on there says, why do we need to bother with that? We have a Republican House, Republican Senate, and a Republican governor. What if they flip? Then we should worry about it. And I thought, oh my God, this is the kind of people we got to deal with. As Scrib said, I need to join him now and answer him back and say, haven't you heard what's going on in Virginia? We need to be proactive, not reactive. It's great what Virginia is doing. Don't get me wrong. I'm proud of them doing it, but hell, that's like shutting the gate after the horse is bolted. So anyway, that's what I was talking about. So, I can't, but what I'm saying is there's some people here, even my relatives, I bring up gun topics to them, relating to, 2A stuff, what's happening, what laws are being submitted to stuff. I even mentioned, and they absolutely have no clue what's going on. Absolutely none. So it amazes me that, is that the state of only us people who are into it understand it, and everybody else just has no clue what's going on in this country? What do you think? Kingpin, you're up on this stuff. What's your opinion?
That's exactly right. I say it all the time. We get into these conversations and start getting into a bunch of details and, behind the scenes type of stuff. And we expect that everybody else in the world knows the same thing we do. Where the vast, vast majority of Americans, whether they're grown, young, middle-aged boy, girl, whatever, have no idea what's happening. I mean, they're absolutely blind to everything, and most of them really don't even care. You know, so it's frustrating, but you also have to think, you know, we're we're deep into this kind of stuff, whether it's politics, guns, whatever it might be. We're really entrenched into it, where your next door neighbor probably couldn't tell you what a muzzle is or what the First Amendment says. And it's not because they don't, you know, love America or think it's cool to be free. It's just they just don't know or don't care.
Yeah, they just go on with life. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, imagine this. Imagine sitting down at a table with 10 brain surgeons and you're the only one that's not. And they start talking about, you know, uh, gamma radiation and microsurgery and neurons and protons. You have no idea what they're talking about. And they'll probably look at you and be like, really? This is like first grade brain surgery stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Southpaw RX says it's priorities of life. Some folks are more involved in college sports, etc., and have no idea our rights are getting chipped away. Yeah. You know, Midnight Range says basically says they say people know what they know. There's tons of aspects of life that I don't know anything about. It's not their fault. That's the way we need to make the 2A topic a conversation to educate.
Well, that's the joy of freedom, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it's obviously double-edged, but you know, I don't have to know about porcelain dolls or whatever, lead sinkers for collectible fishing equipment. But it is something that you have to talk about. That's
Yeah.
why we're all here.
I mean, I try to learn all kinds of stuff. I mean, I might not be an expert on anything, but I read all kinds of stuff that I doubt if I ever see or ever use. You know what I'm saying? But hey, that's me. You know.
Jason Stewart makes a good point. I mentioned at my range all the time rallies that are coming up, and whether it's Pennsylvania, Maryland, or the DC rally, and the majority of the people that go to my range, like the regulars, on the day that I go, are all really great guys, and the ladies, I mean, just awesome people to hang out with, fun to talk to, fun to shoot with. But when I mention that there's a rally or there's this bill coming up, or this or that, they're like, "Would you shut up already? We're trying to shoot here."
Yeah, I know exactly that's what I'm saying. Like if I mention, like if I'm at a family gathering and I happen to mention it because I know there's a bunch of shooters there or gun owners, it's like, hey, we're trying to, we're doing other stuff. We don't need to know about that. All right. I want to say, don't come crying to me when you take your guns away, but that's like I used to say in Rhode Island to all them anti-gunners up there. I said, don't come crying to me when you want somewhere to hide when they come to get you because I got all the guns.
I don't try to talk politics at gatherings, but if somebody brings it up, depending on what they say and how I'm feeling at that particular moment, I may choose to address it. At my son's graduation party at my house, one of our guests decided to blurt out something absolutely ignorant. Absolutely ignorant. And I made a remark, and one of the other guests goes, "Here he goes again with his gun stuff." And I'm like, you say that, but when they kick your door in to take your XYZ in your house, don't come to me and go, "Hey man, can I borrow a gun? Because I never got one to defend my family with." And, I said what I had to say, and before it got too heated, I just backed off. I physically walked away because I was so upset with the flippant attitude. And these are my guests, but it's my house, and I have a rule. My house, respect my house, okay? When I'm at your house, I'll respect your house. If not, tell me to leave. But later on, I got pulled aside by the person who made the comment, not the second comment, but the first comment. The person who made the second comment is a lost cause. And we had a conversation. She wanted me to explain what the position, and she had no idea. She said it really doesn't matter to her because she doesn't care about that stuff. She grew up around guns, and she's got the whole FUD, it's only for hunting kind of thing, but she doesn't care. The things in her life that are important to her have nothing to do with that, and she's not worried about it and all that. And she respects my right to believe what I believe, but it's never going to mean anything to her. It's like, okay, that's fine. I'm not here to change you. I'm not one of these, we got to convert people. Okay, I'm just not. And then there was another situation where I was at a party and somebody brought up something and everybody was silent because nobody knew, and I gave the answer, and then people started asking questions, and some of the people in the group were pro 2A, but not as much as me, definitely. And then some of the others were absolutely anti, but they had all these questions. So I was answering all the questions with facts, not opinion, facts. And I made sure I didn't talk about anything that I wasn't absolutely sure about. These things come up, and sometimes it's a good idea to go in there and take a risk and see if it does anything. Like I said, I'm not one of these people who says, we got to convert everybody we know. No. Okay, no. But if that's what you do, hey, you do you. But you also run a risk of, now all of a sudden you're the crazy neighbor, or you're the crazy cousin, or you're the crazy in-law that has the guns, and
Yeah. Well,
take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
So most people don't care about anything other than what affects them. And that's, kind of what Patriot was talking about, you don't know this and don't know it. If they don't give two shits about it, they're never going to give two shits about it. It's when somebody breaks into their house, or somebody attacks them in a parking lot, or when somebody they know has some stalker ex-boyfriend, and suddenly they go, I need to get a gun. If they know you're the gun guy, even if they didn't like you 2 or 3 years ago because they know you're the gun guy, you might be the one that they get in contact with going, you're the only gun guy I know. I finally decided I want a gun. What do I got to do? Now, don't expect them to go with you to a rally the next week, but at least you can help them get some training and feel comfortable and find something that's going to work for them within their budget and their needs and everything else for their own defense. And maybe they don't change the way they vote. Maybe they don't get involved. Maybe they this, maybe they that. But at least you're doing something. You're doing something for somebody, and you might be changing their opinion about gun people. They might not change how they vote, but it might change their opinion about gun people.
Yeah.
I've had that happen with family members doing that, where they're total against it, and always have been, always will, and so that's something that I don't, when I'm with them, it's obviously nothing, that's not all I talk about, obviously, and so you have to know kind of gauge when to talk about it or whatever. But I've definitely changed tactics, because before you're like, no, that's silly, why would you think that? But then you do have to step back and actually look at the situation, look at who you're talking to.
Oh yeah,
because you don't want to alienate family, unless there's other reasons or whatever. But
yeah, I agree. Real quick, Midnight Range said Squib's family member, guns are bad. Midnight Range, Squib, hold my beer.
Yeah.
But I agree with you there, Patriot. I mean, when I lived in Rhode Island, most of my associates that I knew were, anti. And what do you need a gun for? Why do you need so many guns? If I happen to mention I bought another one, and I even had one friend. I happened to mention to one of my friends, say, well, what would happen if somebody attacked you? I go, don't you want to defend yourself? No. I said, you'd rather be shot than defend yourself. Well, that's the way it's meant to be. I just shake my head and just back off, say, okay, it ain't.
Yeah, Rick, I've actually heard that myself more than once. I've heard the whole, no, I don't want to die. No, I don't want my children to die, but I could never kill anyone. Okay, look, nobody's asking you to kill someone. Sometimes just just having it, the deterrent of you having it alone is enough to stop it. Okay, but let's just say it happened, and at the moment of truth, you had to make that split-second decision, and you're looking at your loved one getting knifed to death or beaten to death or whatever it is, and there's no way you can stop you're not physically strong enough to rip that person off of them and save their life. You're going to tell me in the moment of truth, you're going to go, I just can't do it, and you're going to let your loved one die, or you're going to let yourself die and leave your children as orphans. You're really going to do that. You might not realize it right at this moment, but if you ever had to do it, that life flashing before your eyes, that's about all the time you've got to make that decision. Hopefully it's the right decision, because there is a time where some people escalate it and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And maybe it's one of those people, it's like, yeah, maybe you're better off without one because you're just way too, but still, it's the whole, nobody is saying, hey, you just bought this item, now you're going to go use it. You may never use it. How many people have an arsenal in their house and they never use it to defend? And then how many people buy one and hope they never have to do it, and then they do? I mean, it's really hard to get through to these people, and I don't want them to feel like they've got to know everything I know, or the rest of us know, or be as passionate, or go to rallies, or email their senators or whatever. But I don't think they're thinking long term. I don't think they don't understand how this one ties to the freedom of speech or the freedom of religion or anything else. I don't think they understand how important it is because, well, hey, there's a show on Netflix, so whatever. I mean, it's, how many people do you know that when you say, are you a 2A supporter, they go, well, yeah, I'm a member of the NRA. And say, oh, great. You know, not to bash the NRA, but the NRA is bad about getting information out to its people if they weren't the ones who organized the rally, or they weren't the ones who sponsored the bill. Even when they don't go in there and you know, help push a bill, they'll take credit for somebody else's work. But typically, if that's the only organization you're a member of, and I'm not saying it's a bad idea to be a member of it, but you may not, if that's your one and only source for information, you're probably in trouble. Or the whole, you know, somebody else will do it kind of thing, right? We all know about that.
Oh yeah.
There's,
Yeah, you're right. Real quick, what's called it? Oh God, what I'm gonna say? Anybody else got an opinion besides my buddy Squib and Patriot? You know,
I was just going to throw in about the family thing, but come back to me.
all right. New York Outcast, you got any input on that? Any of this?
I'm sorry, but what's the original question? Because it went a little bit. So
I can't remember what the original question was. How we go on, you know, about I guess, you know, people having
You're
no
talking
idea
about
what's
people,
going
yeah.
on.
Yes, people having no idea what's going on and not caring either.
Yeah, you know,
yeah.
we're talking Second Amendment stuff, mainly.
Okay, I doesn't say I see a lot of that in my area. Yeah, everybody knows the condition New York State's in, and I think a lot of that is, you know, the people of New York State's fault in a sense. They are not vocal. They don't seem to be involved. A lot of them don't even care about some of the restrictive acts because if they're not in the city, they just figure, you know, nobody's ever going to know, and it's kind of disappointing. But, you know, I think at one time, all of us were probably considered outsiders of this at some, you know, some level. So, you know, I, again, think we need to kind of convert people, but at the same time, you know, like Squid mentioned, or I believe maybe Patriot, but some people are kind of a lost cause, and you're just going to end up, you know, having issues come about. So it's a tricky situation. It's unfortunate, I think. Same thing with just regular voting. A lot of people just don't show up. So obviously something I'd like to see changed. People are people.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'll just reading here. It's slightly different talk. I mean, Two Gun Kitty just happened to mention I didn't know the need for guns until realizing crime in Albuquerque was out of control 2 years ago. Went to gun show to look guns over and talked to CCW instructors. Got my CCW on guns soon after. Yeah, you're right. I mean, as I've said before to here on the show. I've been saying it for you. I mean, the reason, I mean, 2016, I started with guns, so 4 years now, is when I had my injury. It made me realize how vulnerable, is that the word I'm looking for? I'd become, you know, because back then, I mean, not only did I have the bad back compound the stuff, my left hip was shot and I had to have a new left hip. Things that eased up a little. I mean, at least I can, before it got so bad that I was almost housebound and I couldn't go anywhere without using my scooter that I got. Now, at least I can walk now. I try not to use the scooter because I want to walk. I need to lose some weight, so I'm trying to walk. The only place I use a scooter now is in Walmart. But so I totally understand where you're coming from there, too, Gun Kitty. I really do. You know, when you feel that, I mean, I'm looking around and I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, I'm a target. I could be a target now. You know, I still feel that way, but I feel that I'm capable of taking care of myself because, you know, I'm willing to, I carry to protect myself. Hell, I still might die, but at least I'll die trying is the way I look at it.
Well, also, if you're aware of your surroundings and the places you go, you're not necessarily a target. I mean, if the type of criminal that's going to target you is going to be some cheap, low two-bit thug or some drug addict, you know, obviously, if you cross somebody's gang turf that you're not supposed to cross out in, southern Indiana or wherever you're at, you might have some trouble. But if you don't go to places where there's a bunch of punk kids, you're pretty much not going to be targeted because if you're not hanging out with crackheads, a regular guy who robs people to make money is not going to rob you because you don't have any money in your pocket.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the inner city living that you got going on there, Kingpin. It's, you know, I mean, where I lived in Rhode Island, it was, I lived in a real small, small town, you know, but you're right. Like if I went to Providence, my God, you had to be careful where you went because that was a rough city, you know. Anyway, Two Gun Kitty, what do you say? Once I got my CCW and carry a gun, I learned about 2A and how it's being assaulted. Same with me. I started looking into that kind of stuff as soon as I got that stuff and I got involved and all that kind of stuff. I absolutely understand where you're coming from. So, yeah. So, I mean, I remember also that luckily, I mean, because I had my Massachusetts carry permit too, so I think it was technically meant to be a gun-free zone, but I carried, because you couldn't carry open, I carried concealed inside Fenway when I went to a baseball game to see the Boston Red Sox play as the Atlanta Braves. I was an Atlanta Braves fan back then. I still am really, but I don't follow baseball that much anymore. But I used to, I mean, it was only, I think it was in 2017, I think. Or was it 16 when I first got, anyway, I carried inside Fenway Park. I don't know if I was allowed to or not, but I did anyway. So, you see, there's another rough city, Boston, you know? So, yeah, so, you got to, as you said, you got to be aware of your surroundings. So, anyway, yeah, because actually, when I went to Fenway, I walked there. The guy who drove dropped me off outside. I didn't take my scooter. Dropped me off outside of actually Fenway, because what they do where Fenway is, they actually close the street off when there's a game, and it's pedestrian only. So I could hobble with my cane, so I hobbled to the game. because I didn't want to take my scooter. But maybe I could have got down behind home plate, as an invalid, But never mind. That's all in the past now. Anybody else got anything else you want to talk about?
I was just going to bring up about the family thing.
Go for it.
My daughter came home, so I had to jump up here. So I don't know where you went before the Fenway Park, but I do have somebody in the family that is totally anti-firearm, anti-anything. Now, they have a personal reason, family-wise, from they're married into my family, but from their family, they obviously have some strong feelings because of something that happened when they were a kid, whatever. So I understand that, but I also have two family members that were raised right and whatever, went to college and totally went insane. They're totally progressive. They would whatever, anything that is just totally anti-American, but they both have concealed carry licenses. So there is that. So just because they're anti-firearm, don't batch people together by saying, it's just that crazy progressive or this or that, because there are crazy progressives that also like firearms for some reason. But I don't understand how that works. I don't know how their brains work.
I don't understand it either, because when it comes down to the crunch at voting time, which way do they lean?
Well, that's how I wanted to address that real quick, because I hear about it all the time that there's Democrats that got guns. I don't care how many Democrats. If you vote party line Democrat, you can have all the guns you want. You can be as pro 2A as you want. You are not on my team. Period.
That's the way I feel.
And they're not invited to my Christmas parties either.
Yeah, I'm jumping in on that too. And I understand, maybe something is more important to them than their Second Amendment rights. Then they could say, well, why isn't this more important to you or that? We're all different people. I get that. But I try not to have anything that I support affect somebody else's liberty. When you support something that affects my liberty, I'm for controlling our borders and lowering our taxes and improving any sort of situation if the economy starts to tank, or I'm for patriotism, and I'm for America first, and I'm for. How does any of that hurt anybody else except people trying to come into our country illegally or criminals? Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so what's your they have nothing. They've got nothing, but they think they're right.
You hear it all the time. You hear, like, Dave Chappelle. Last summer he came out with the Sticks and Stones stand-up, which, by the way, is totally, totally hilarious. But a bunch of, we'll say, right-wingers, us, were like, hey, look, Dave Chappelle's giving it to him and Ricky Gervais at this last Golden Globes or whatever. Shook his finger on all the leftist faces, and everybody on our side was like, yeah, tell him. Ricky Gervais hates your guts.
Oh yeah, he does. He was funny, but you're right. He does.
Well, isn't Joe Rogan supposed to be conservative, and didn't he just get behind Sanders?
Joe Rogan is the phoniest person on the face of the earth. Don't believe a word he ever said. I hate that guy.
Whatever guest he's got on, that's his political leaning.
Plus, he acts stupid all the time. He acts like he doesn't know what he's talking about to ask a question.
Yeah, the only reason he's popular is because that whole Fear Factor bullshit that happened back on NBC.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say, Jason Stewart said that Trump was 2A in his speech last night, which was an awesome speech, by the way. The actual speech itself, I thought, was great. I really do. Yes, he said some asinine stuff about the Second Amendment. Now we need some action from him. In the right direction. To show that he really is. But anyway, he's the best we got right now. So I'm going for him. in November.
He's the best we've ever. I'll step down a little hard. He's the best we've ever had, and I challenge anybody to come change my mind about that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Wait,
know-
you mean never had as a president?
What was that, Squib?
Best we've ever had as a president?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll work on it.
All right, please do that.
I remember when our best president was in office. Rest in peace, Ronald Reagan.
Hey, but didn't he do a gun ban when he was in office, or some gun regulation?
The Hughes Amendment got tacked onto the Firearms Owners Protection Act as pork-barrel politics, and he was told that it would get fought and removed, or it wouldn't go through, whatever it did, and he really kind of didn't do anything about it. Some of that responsibility does fall on the NRA, some of it does fall on him, and whatnot. But at the end of the day, the Firearms Owner Protection Act, even though states don't necessarily follow it, and they should, you got to look at what you got for what you got. And then for the people out there whining, going, but I want my toy. Well, first off, you can get an SOT and you can have your toy. And secondly, it's something that we can work on repealing, but there's other things that are a lot more important in front of that. But if you look at what the man did, as far as he's the one who stopped the threats of the communists. He's the one that held us together through some difficult times. I mean, granted, 9/11 didn't happen then and other stuff, and the economy was kind of up and down, but 401ks exist because of Ronald Reagan, even though they really didn't take off till Clinton got in office. And there's some other things, and I'm not saying the man was perfect. He did some underhanded shit. Oh, yeah. But as far as presidents, he took down that evil empire, and he did it with a minimum loss of life.
Yeah, well, I think Trump's done a hell of a lot himself, actually. Look, I think when he's out of office and you look back, you realize how good he did do.
If he builds that wall, maybe I'll consider giving him the number 2 spot, but I still ain't seen a wall.
Donald Trump has done this basically single-handedly. Ronald Reagan had a lockstep Republican Party in behind him, and what people, for whatever reason, call a moderate Democrat Party going against him, who, by the way, were colluding with the Russians to get Ronald Reagan kicked out of office.
But I must say, President Ronald Reagan had better one-liners than Donald Trump.
Get out of town. Come on, Donald Trump's 10 times the entertainer than the boy is.
What would Ronald Reagan have been like if he had Twitter?
Ronald Reagan.
Actually, that's Donald Trump's downfall, is that he just doesn't know when to shut the hell up and stay off social media.
He doesn't have to shut up and stay up. That's the reason that he's the president. That's the reason people like him, is because he doesn't shut up and stay off of Twitter.
Yeah, we wanted somebody different. We got him. So stop complaining.
It's a totally different time now than it ever has been before. I mean, there was nobody that ran besides Donald Trump that could have dealt with all the garbage for the last 2 years.
I'm going to call.
There isn't anybody.
Anyway, I'm
like
going to call up my internet company tomorrow and say, Donald Trump promised me 5G out here in the rural America. I want it.
Promises made, promises kept.
That's right. That's right. I can't wait to get better internet out here.
My big problem that I have with people who bash Donald Trump is most of them don't know what they're talking about. And they want to make up phony arguments like Donald Trump's responsible for red flag laws. When, if you want to have an argument about Donald Trump, let's talk about the omnibus bill he just signed. Let's talk about this disaster that is prison reform that's already let out a person that's went out and murdered somebody 7 days later. Allowing Jared Kushner to have as much power as he does in the White House. I mean, we could go on for hours of talking about things that Donald Trump has done wrong, but don't come at me with a bunch of Democratic nonsense.
Right, I mean, like here in New York tonight, like after the whole acquittal thing, we have protests like all over the city with people that are just pissed off. And I know they'll never hear my voice, but you want to just grab a few of them and start shaking them and say, if you don't like what the man's doing, then why haven't you gone and voted against him? Or even better, why don't you get up off your lazy ass and become the politician to make the changes? Like, stop walking around yelling and inconveniencing my life and do something about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what the ballot box is all about. If you don't like what he's doing, November 2020, you can get him out of office. You know, I don't think it's going to happen after that charade last night.
You got a bunch of these young loudmouths out there on YouTube saying that the ballot boxes were passed, that we need the cartridge box. They're the same people, they don't show up to vote. They say, yeah, I'm gonna grab my AK and I'm gonna go down there and drag them out and lynch them and blah. No, first off, you won't. And by the way, you'd have to borrow your mom's car to do it.
Yeah,
you know, here's the thing. Instead of running your mouth about going down there to create some sort of violent event that doesn't need to happen, that makes us all look bad, why don't you get off your ass and vote next time there's an election?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Well, real quick, it's gone 8 o'clock. So it's time to wind this down. It's been a really...
Quiz.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my quiz real quick. I've done this on Saturday. So you've got, and it's for this Saturday's swag pack. Everybody, last month's winners, all the prizes will be going out this weekend. I get paid this weekend. So I will be going down to the post office and mailing out all your prizes. I think I got 4 here. I got to go out. So, and oh, by the way, before I go on to the quiz, just want to let everybody know you can PayPal me if you want, but it's my birthday Friday. So, you know, I just want to say, you know, donations are accepted.
Can we just buy you a stripper instead?
You know, okay, where is it? No, that's not it. This is it right here. All right, based on the quiz from last week, when I asked what was the famous line Josie Wells used when he took on those 4 state troopers that come walking out of that store, and we all know it's well, are you going to pull those pistols or whistle Dixie? What I want to know now is what guns did he use in that fight? Email me at rickslifeasiseeit@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com and get the answers into me by Saturday, 12 noon Eastern, for a chance to win the swag pack. So there we go. Anything else? So I want to say thank you all for being here. And it's been a great chat tonight. I liked it. I enjoyed it tonight. So we kept it down. We kept it family friendly tonight, which is good. Saturday's the one that goes a bit more rougher, really. But I really do appreciate it. And I will see you all. Jason Stewart, happy birthday. How many candles? You couldn't fit all the candles on a cake. I will be 63. Oh, my God. If I'd known I was going to live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself. You know? But anyway, I want to say thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you all on Saturday at 3 p.m. So, good night, everybody.